All right, y'all, I got a whole bunch of breaking news here for you. To be honest, we're playing catch-up because for the past, I don't even know how long it's been now, 2 or 3 days, we've been talking a lot about the shooting of Charlie Kirk. So there's a lot of stuff that I got to catch you up on. But first, let me give you the updates on the Charlie thing. So more and more information is coming in, and the more that comes in, the more clear it is. The shooter was right-wing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's not really hard to figure out. It's not really up in the air. It's not really a matter of opinion anymore. The guy was right-wing. In fact, he was very, very right-wing. So if you want more information on this, go to the previous video that I just dropped where we go over a lot of the facts that had already come out about him. But bottom line is, he was either registered unaffiliated or registered Republican. I say we don't fully know because there's like a million Tyler Robinsons in this country. But there's some reporting he's unaffiliated. There's some reporting he's Republican. But now we're learning that some of the furthest right-wing people in the country are beginning to be afraid he's affiliated with them. So floating around Twitter right now, we have some 4chan messages. One person says, Groyper confirmed, Nick is so fucked, it's unreal. Another person says, is he our guy? Response to that is, LMAO, I was so convinced, or people were so convinced it was some Latino trans person. They don't say trans person, they say the T-slur. But nonetheless, the message is still clear what they're saying here. The other thing people are pointing to now is we know he came from this massive Trump family, this Republican family. In fact, the grandma came out and gave an interview, I believe, to the Daily Beast or somebody, and said, yeah, the whole family, we're all massively right-wing. Like, we're all Republican, we're all pro-Trump. He came from a family that was steeped in gun culture. I mean, there's 1,000 pictures of them with all sorts of guns. So he was raised in that environment. There's another sad picture of him. His mom took it of him. He was pretty young, and they had given him a computer, and he's sitting there on the computer, and the mom said something about how, like, we never see him anymore because he's on the computer all day. And it's like, oh, my God, this is part of the problem. This would help lead to the radicalization. So you have all that. But now people are pointing out, and I didn't catch this before our last segment, but in 2018, on Halloween, he dressed as this Pepe meme. And the Pepe meme is one that was floating around in Nazi circles, white nationalist circles, white supremacist circles, Groyper circles. And so everybody's pointing this out and going, uh-oh, he almost certainly was in that crew. So now, I mean, I think the debate is kind of settled. And you can see based on the reaction of the right that they know. You could see based on the reaction of the right that they know. Oops, all that talk of civil war and the left are evil and the left are horrible and we're going to destroy them all. And then now it's like, oh shit, it was another one of your people. Right? Just like with the Trump shooting. They were fucking, screaming against the liberals and leftists all day long, acting like we're all terrorists, and then boom, come to find out that person was a registered Republican. So, I mean, it almost always comes down to that. I'm not saying there's zero left-wing shooters, but, 80%, 90% of the time, it ends up being a right-wing shooter. Or just somebody who's completely fucking mentally gone, right? Like, just weird politics and just completely mentally gone, where this has the same profile as any sort of school shooter, but now they're just moving it into the political realm for whatever reason. All right, so there's some updates there. Now, we also have Trump posted on Truth Social. This was so weird. He posted, everybody loved Charlie. And it's a picture, it's an AI-generated image of Trump and Charlie Kirk, and they're like hugging. They're like up close to each other, right? But in the background behind them, there's a U.S. flag and an Israeli flag. Now, is Trump Israeli? No. Is Charlie Kirk Israeli? No. So why is there an Israeli flag behind? Like, what is this? What are you talking about? But it gets weirder. Then underneath the picture of them with the flags behind them, it says, Great Charlie Kirk, R.I.P., Shlomo Pearl. Shlomo Pearl? What? There's also a random tree or bush or something on the left side of the picture, and like a light pole to the right-hand side. Clearly, it's some AI slop that he posted. He probably didn't even realize it said R.I.P. Shlomo Pearl on it, but like, this is obviously going to feed conspiracy theories, bro. This is obvious. And look, I said it too. We got all the information coming out about this shooter, and you take that for what it's worth. But at the same time, I'm still waiting for explanations on how you could have 2 decoys at the shoot. There were 2 decoys. One person who said he did the shooting, and said, shoot me, and his fucking pants fell down as cops were dragging him out. There was one old guy who said, shoot me, and I did it. And then you're telling me he didn't know what was going to happen? You're telling me he wasn't a decoy or a diversion? Are you kidding me? So that makes no sense to me. The other diversion, the guy with the pellet gun, makes no sense to me. Not shutting down the airport makes no sense to me. The story about the rifle objectively just makes no sense. They say he disassembled the rifle, So that's why when he jumped off the roof, you saw he didn't have the rifle. There's a video of him jumping off the roof. He didn't have the rifle. They go, oh, he disassembled it. But then they say, oh, we found the rifle in the woods, and it was fully assembled again somehow. None of that makes any sense. So, look, take the information for what it's worth about this guy. But at the same time, there are certainly unanswered questions here. They're incredibly disturbing. By the way, somebody asked Elon Musk's Grok to say what the political affiliation of Tyler Robinson is, and Grok came back and said, this guy's like a Nazi, he's a groiper, he's one of those types. So there's, all this is out there floating around now. Oh, by the way, I should also point out, all of the things that were written on the ammunition, I told you guys it was all related to this specific video game, which is true. It all comes from this specific video game. I forget what the name is. You can go back and look at the previous video we did. I mentioned it there, the name of the video game. Helldivers 2 or something like that. But apparently, one of the things he said, Ciao Bella, and I didn't know this, apparently that's also, one of the things that was commonly said. It was an in-group meme in Nazi circles, Groiper circles, etc. And there's a lot of evidence of that floating around the internet as well. So, look, it appears to be game, set, match, case closed. We know this was a right-wing person. And you know what? Will that even stop the right from doing their full crackdown on the left and going full authoritarian and full tyrannical? I doubt it, because Trump's already fucking doing it. He invaded LA. He invaded DC, right? He wants to invade Chicago. I just read earlier they're gonna do it in Memphis now. Like, they're just, they're not gonna stop. Like, this is who they are. This is what they do. I mean, he has fucking concentration camps. He's starting war with all these countries. He's destroying the economy. He's having ICE round up fucking day laborers at the Home Depot parking lot. Like, this is who they are. This is what they do. So I don't think it's going to stop them from continuing with the agenda, even though this clearly was a far-right shooter. Either that or, either far-right shooter or, like I said, some totally, mentally ill guy who's just completely gone, who, this may as well have been a school shooting type thing. But anyway, so let me also give you this. This is crazy. There's IDF soldiers in Gaza now writing on bombs that are going to be used to kill Palestinians in memory of Charlie Kirk. I've seen multiple instances of IDF soldiers doing stuff like that. I mean, just so disturbing. So fucking disturbing. Just to show you the vibe shift here, let me go through. Here is Nancy Mace before we knew who the shooter was, right? Time to bring back the death penalty. Enough is enough. Representative Nancy Mace comments on reports of Charlie Kirk's killers being allegedly pro-transgender, but she uses the T slur. What else did she say? She said one other thing, too, that was, all you Democrats own this. That's the other thing she said. Okay, ready? That was before we knew who the shooter was. Now, we know Charlie Kirk would want us to pray for such an evil and lost individual like Tyler Robinson to find Jesus Christ. We will try to do the same. All right, more. We truly believe if Tyler Robinson had ever sat down across from Charlie, the great debater, the man of faith and grace he was, Tyler wouldn't have pulled the trigger. So when it's a fucking awkward, skinny, pasty white guy, 22 years old, with seemingly everything from a conservative family, all of a sudden the fucking tone changes pretty quickly, doesn't it? Quite amazing. Oh, this was also really weird. I don't know how many of you guys saw this, but Amazon started selling books on the Charlie Kirk shooting like the day of the shooting. I'm not even kidding. Within 24 hours, boom, you had multiple books on the Charlie Kirk shooting that popped up on Amazon. Why? Because it's AI slop, and they don't regulate it to ban AI books. And so here we are. Now, there are some people who are saying, oh, no, these books were actually posted before the shooting. That's not true. That's, conspiracy stuff. They're trying to act like it was there beforehand. It wasn't. It was like the day of it popped up. But that's still fucking weird and bad, and the AI shit should be banned. Okay? Absolutely crazy. So crazy. So this is something people aren't talking about nearly enough, but they should be. At least 5 historically black colleges and universities received violent threats on Thursday, prompting several of them to place their campuses on lockdown and cancel classes. So, and by the way, I'm pretty sure this is directly tied to what happened with Charlie Kirk. You had all these right-wing accounts, right-wing influencers and celebrities and politicians all saying the same thing, like this is fucking war now. Just flat out incitement to violence from people like Jesse Waters and Matt Walsh. Really disturbing stuff. And so, boom, the bat signal went out. You got a bunch of bomb threats to HBCUs. You also have the Capitol Police were responding to an incident at the DNC, at DNC headquarters. And, the Senate got an alert about that. So they're targeting the DNC with bomb threats. They were targeting HBCUs. And they view this as like payback. They view it as payback for what happened to Charlie. They're somehow blaming like all black people who go to HBCUs and all Democrats. Meanwhile, again, turns out, oops, the shooter is a far right winger. Okay, let me give you some more here. So I'm going to move on to other topics, and like I said, I got a lot to catch you up on, so sit back and relax. But the Trump administration, apparently when nobody was watching because the world is melting down around us, but the Trump administration decided to cut supplemental security income benefits for 400,000 seniors and children with disabilities. So this is something, it was a program that was expanded by Biden. Biden gave these people more money, right? Now Trump comes in, just like he's cutting Medicaid, just like he's cutting SNAP, the food stamps program. Trump comes in and he goes, I'm going to cut this. So now 400,000 seniors and children with disabilities will get lower payments, and that'll be absolutely devastating for them. Now, at the same time that's going on, Trump, apparently you know how he's been doling out pardons, and he's got this system, this corrupt system where like you go to Mar-a-Lago, you kiss the ring, you pay him some money, and then he'll issue the pardon that you want. Well, apparently one of those people that Trump pardoned just went on a fucking crime spree. So here's the headline in the Daily Beast. It says, Trump freed American drug kingpin now accused of violent and sexual crimes. A convicted felon and loan shark from New York, whose sentence was commuted by President Trump because of family connections, has been found guilty of violating parole and was charged with multiple violent crimes. Jonathan Braun, 42, who was sentenced to 10 years in prison in 2019 for his role in smuggling over 220,000 pounds of marijuana before Trump granted him clemency in 2021, faces up to 5 years in prison if charged for all of the new crimes. His hearing is slated on October 9th. So since his release from federal prison, he faces a laundry list of new charges after swinging an IV pole at a hospital nurse. So he had tried to assault a hospital nurse, harassed a family nanny, I think that's the sexual one, and evaded at least 75 tolls in his white Lamborghini and black Ferraris. This is a fucking pampered, entitled, spoiled little prick, right? Rich little prick. And he's going on this fucking crime spree. This is after he got a second shot at life because, he's close to the Trump family. Fucking disgusting, man. These people truly are fucking disgusting. Just oozing with fucking privilege from a rich family, committing all these crimes, getting out of prison when he shouldn't have been even out of prison in the first place, then going on a fucking crime spree. These people are disgusting. I don't know how many of you have seen this, but this is a huge story. But I believe this is in Rochester, New York. There were some ICE agents that showed up to this house, and they were trying to arrest these guys who were roofers, and they were literally on the roof at the time doing their job, right? And so ICE agents show up, and they try to arrest these guys, and these guys decide, fuck that, I'm not going down. I'm going to stay up here. If you're telling me I'm going to get arrested down there, I'm staying on the roof, bitch. And so what happened? Well, then the entire community came together, and I'm not kidding when I say like 100 of the neighbors walked out of their houses, walked to the house where the ICE agents were waiting for these roofers to come down, and the neighbors started to basically intimidate the ICE agents and started to say, like, you should be fucking ashamed of yourself, and you're the fucking Gestapo. Do you know that? And they literally scared the shit out of these people and shamed the ICE agents so much that they had to get in their car and leave. I'm not kidding. This is actually the most hopeful story I've seen in a long time in American politics. Because what this shows is, with a little bit of dedication, a little bit of unity, a little bit of solidarity, oh, would you look at that? We win. We won when we did that. Isn't that lovely? And so now these roofers are fine, at least for the time being. And I'm telling you, there is a real message here, man. And shout out to all those neighbors who understood right and wrong, who understood this was fucked up. Here you have good people who are just working in an honest job, only want to take care of their family and make some money and live freely in this country. And you have the ICE Gestapo thugs trying to ruin their lives. And these people just came out and did the right thing. So I absolutely love this story. I absolutely love it. Rand Paul has been on a bit of a roll lately. So as you all know, he's been feuding with Trump and feuding with J.D. Vance, telling J.D. Vance he's a fucking prick because he was, smugly arguing in favor of war crimes and throwing out the Geneva Conventions. Well, guess what? He went on Fox News, and he had this fight with a Fox News host as well. I think this is Will Cain. I'm not sure, but I think it's Will Cain who he's arguing with. And basically, the Fox host is arguing for extrajudicial murder, and Rand Paul is like, are you fucking stupid? Do you understand the precedent that this sets? Do you understand that if you say we're allowed to do that, then it logically follows that everybody else is going to be allowed to do that? Do you want Iran or, whatever, fill in the blank with whatever boogeyman country you want? Do you want them to be able to randomly assassinate U.S. boats that are fishing boats with civilians on it and claiming, hey, we say it was narco-terrorists? No, you don't want that. So let's fucking apply the rules objectively and be fair here and actually care about the law. And shout out to him. I mean, again, I think this is the influence of his father on him. His father was a true libertarian and truly anti-war. And so that rubbed off on him a little bit. He's not as libertarian and as principled as his dad, but he's better than your average Republican on issues like this. So that was quite a video to watch. There's also this other video that was floating around on my timeline, got almost 500,000 views, and it's really amazing. It shows how Fox News used to talk about Trump in, I believe the year was either 2015 or 2016. It was like one of the first Republican primary debates in 2015 or 2016. And it was when basically everybody on stage went one flavor or another of anti-vaccine. You had even Dr. Ben Carson went somewhat, and he was like, oh no, all the vaccines are good for you, and they don't cause autism or anything crazy like that. But yeah, you should sort of separate. You should have a lot of time in between getting the doses. Now that, if you want to do that, I have no problem with you doing that, but the idea that it's a problem if you get all the vaccines at once, it's actually not true. It's totally fine if you get all the vaccines at once. But even he was feeding that, and Trump was trying to link vaccines to autism. This is all the way back in fucking 2016. And the way Fox News covered it, and it was the show The Five, which now is, fucking right-wing rag. All of them, Greg Gutfeld, all of them were like, this is fucked up, this is anti-science, this is stupid, what are we doing here? The Republicans can't be the party of being anti-science, we got to correct this. And wow, look at how far we've come. We're now, the number one crank in the country, RFK, is running Health and Human Services into the ground, and Fox News is sitting there with their fucking pom-poms cheerleading for it, like the suckers they are. All right, so now we also have this Senator Jack Reed, who I believe is, he's not number one on the Oversight Committee, but he's like number one on the Senate and Foreign Relations Committee or something like that. Basically, he's in charge of the committee that oversees foreign policy stuff. So he went on CNN, and he was asked by Dana Bash, hey, is the Senate going to allow Trump to go to war with Venezuela? And then this guy, and I swear to God, he's like half asleep in this interview, sitting there like he doesn't even want to fucking be there. And he responds, I hope not. It's the saddest fucking thing I've ever seen. So here we have a psychotic president, war criminal president, who's already showed he doesn't care about international law, doesn't care about the Geneva Conventions, doesn't care about norms, doesn't care about rules or anything like that. He's already illegally bombed Yemen and Somalia and Iran and all these other countries, but now bombed a fishing boat off the coast of Venezuela. And the Democrat, who's supposed to be the head on foreign policy, goes, I don't know if we're going to go to war with Venezuela. I hope not. That's it? That's all you got is I hope not? You're not going to call him a fucking war criminal? You're not going to call him a pig? You're not going to say, hey, you should be in The Hague for the crimes you've already committed? You're not going to say, hey, this is massively illegal and unconstitutional and unacceptable and immoral? You're not going to say, hey, Maduro is not a threat to us in any way, shape, or form. Why are you pretending otherwise? You're not going to do any of that? And he didn't. He didn't do any of it. So, I mean, it's just so disturbing to me. Now, I'm going to come back to Venezuela in a little bit. But just that fact alone drives me crazy, bro. It drives me crazy. Now, here's a fact that I hope some MAGA people are watching this, because this is a fact that should really wake you up about the cult, the fascist death cult that is MAGA. Because listen to this. Trump just sold out rural America. As you all know, in the big bullshit bill, it kicks 17 million people off Medicaid. It cuts it like $700 or $800 billion. This is absolutely catastrophic. This is like country imploding stuff because so many people are losing their health care, period. Well, one of the impacts of this was nursing homes around the country shut down, hospitals around the country shut down, particularly rural hospitals. Well, now that's already happening. So this rural county, Glenn County, that voted for Trump by 2/3. It was 66% to 31%. It's a rural California county, massively pro-Trump. Population's only like about 29,000. They just lost their hospital. Glenn County just lost their hospital. Why? Because of the big bullshit bill. So now it's real life, bro. Now it's not like, hey, what culture war slop am I being fed today? And how is Fox News manufacturing my hatred for liberals and leftists? Now it's, oh shit, I can't get to the hospital in time because they shut it, because they cut off the funding. That's what Trump did, but that's not it. That's not it. Ready? Augusta Health. This is a company that has a bunch of hospitals in Virginia, a bunch of rural health clinics in Virginia. They released a statement, quote, the consolidation is also part of, so they're shutting down a bunch of these places. It's part of Augusta Health's ongoing response to the One Big Beautiful Bill Act and the resulting realities for healthcare delivery. So a number of healthcare clinics in rural Virginia are now shutting down because of Trump's big bullshit bill. It's already happening, y'all. Hospitals shutting down, clinics shutting down. In fact, it reminds me of reporting we did on this show going back to May. It's guaranteed that at least 300 hospitals will shut down. Guaranteed. But the number, I hope you're ready for this, could be as high as 742 hospitals. This country is committing suicide, led by the fascist death cult MAGA and the Republicans. They literally voted to shut 742 hospitals, and nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody cares. And then what will happen is the hospitals will continue to shut, the health clinics will continue to shut, the nursing homes will continue to shut, people will get progressively more and more mad about it, and then, you know, the Republicans will go, why did fucking Democrats shut this? And the confused MAGA voters will go, yeah, why did the Democrats shut this? And we're going to be sitting here fucking pulling our hair out going, are you crazy? Are you insane? The blame needs to be put exactly where it belongs. This is all on MAGA. All of this is on MAGA. 742 hospitals going under. I mean, the seething, boiling rage I feel over this is immeasurable. Because again, this is tangible. People will die because of this. They don't care. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, now let me give you this. This is another ICE horror story. So in 1989, there's this 11-year-old girl who was adopted from an orphanage in Brazil by an American man. And this American man went on to abuse this girl horribly. I don't need to get into the details and the specifics of just how ugly it was, but just understand, it was ugly. It was real ugly. So this guy abused this 11-year-old girl. He never filed her citizenship paperwork after adopting her. She fell into darkness and was eventually in and out of prison for years. And since 2017, she was turning her life around and getting it together. Well, guess what? ICE just deported her. So she was in an abusive home in the U.S. for decades after being brought here, adopted in Brazil, brought here, basically against her will, had no say in it, was abused for years. Now she finally is getting her life together, and she's being kicked out of the U.S. and sent back to Brazil. This is what we're dealing with here, man. This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people who have no regard for human life. Like literally zero. They don't care. They don't care. They're trying to bring about a white nationalist utopia in their mind. And what they're going to find is, it doesn't matter how many minorities you deport, there will be no utopia. There will be no utopia here. I've made this point before, but when you look at Wall Street, for example, it's like 99.9% white, and everybody's scamming everybody. Everybody's a fucking criminal. Everybody's a piece of shit. The idea that, just look at the skin color and that'll determine if they're good or bad people. And we'll be able to create a society built around that. It's like, that's obviously a fucking ridiculous idea. It's a ridiculous notion. But make no mistake about it, that's what Stephen Miller is doing. He's implementing a eugenics ICE policy is what he's doing. Let's try to deport as many black and brown people as we possibly can. All right, you also have this. The Trump Department of Education has pulled funding for programs in 8 states aimed at supporting students who have both hearing and vision loss. So special needs students, hearing and vision loss, they are pulling funding for programs for 8 states that help those kids. So what are those kids supposed to do? What are they supposed to do? You tell me. Hey, MAGA, Republicans, Trump, what are they supposed to do? Here's the thing. They don't give a fuck about these kids. They don't. They don't. They actually, in their heart of hearts, and you don't have to scratch too deep beneath the surface to find this, they believe in eugenics. So they think, these kids are weak. These kids are defective. These kids are bad, right? And they don't deserve the same opportunities that other kids get. And so, I don't know, but we're not going to waste any fucking resources on you. God forbid a billionaire has to pay an extra 1% in taxes and give up his fucking 8th yacht. No, I'd rather have him keep his money and fuck the kids who have hearing problems and vision problems. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Now, this is a horrifying story that all of you need to know about. And this is something that you need to spread the word about, because this is like a really, really bad sign. So as you all know, you have CBS is now being taken over, and it's new. It's going to be new ownership. They're bringing in Barry Weiss, the ultra-Zionist hack, to sort of oversee the editorial direction of the network. And as you all know, this is an attempt to make CBS go full Zionist. They're not going to allow any critical stories of the IDF, for example. I'm sure that she's going to implement, at the very least, a bullshit both sides policy when it comes to covering Democrats and Republicans, but more likely just a pro-Trump hack policy, because they care about access, they care about their connections to Washington, D.C., etc., and they know what the regime wants right now. Well, guess what? It's looking like Paramount Skydance is preparing an Ellison-backed bid for Warner Brothers Discovery. So what that means in layman's terms is the same people, the total right-wing asshole Zionist hacks who are taking over CBS, they're also coming for CNN. So they want to take over CNN too. Now look, I've had my issues with CNN. You guys know I think they're a false equivalence factory. I think they're both sides all day long. I don't think they do a great job. I think they're milquetoast. I think there's many issues with them. But what they are now would be roughly 30 times better than what they would be under the same ownership of Paramount and CBS. Because, again, they're moving that network to be way more Zionist, way more pro-war, way more right-wing. And so you're basically going to have a right-wing Fox News, a right-wing CNN, and a right-wing CBS. This is the right-wing takeover of mainstream media. So now everything would look like Fox News in this scenario. Everything would look similar to Fox News. So you'd have Newsmax, One America News Network, Fox News, CBS, and CNN. And MSNBC, as you know, is no longer going to be MSNBC. They're becoming MS Now. And MS Now they're spun off, so they're no longer under the NBC umbrella. And who knows what direction they're going to take. My guess is they're going to go into both sides' direction. They're not going to be a hardcore liberal or lefty network, because if they do that, they know they're threatening retribution from DC. So in real time, I have a lot of issues with our mainstream media right now. Don't get it twisted. But in due time, if all this stuff happens, it's going to be way, way worse. It's going to be unrecognizably horrible. Oh my God. At least every now and then you get a story from CNN that you go, oh, that's fair. That makes sense. They'll cover the genocide in Gaza every now and then and give you real news. Well, what if Barry Weiss had control over CNN as well, the editorial direction of CNN as well, and she did Holocaust denial on the number one trusted name in news? Imagine? But that's what's happening. That's where we're going. Really disgusting. Really fucking disgusting. All right. We got some good news, y'all. The good news is Brazil's Supreme Court has sentenced former President Jair Bolsonaro to 27 years and 3 months in prison over his attempted coup. Thank fucking God there's some places that still have standards, still have rules, still have law and order. I mean, this happened. South Korea did the same shit. They arrested their coup plotter. Remember him? He had to resign in shame, and, they arrested him. And now we have Brazil showing the way. This is how a civilized country acts. If somebody tries to steal an election brazenly in our faces, you arrest that motherfucker. You charge that motherfucker. You lock that motherfucker up. And so this is the problem. I mean, look, don't even get me started. We could talk a long time here about Merrick Garland and how he dragged his feet, right? But looking back at history, there might come a time where we look at that as like, that was put a fork in us, we're done as a country. Because the fact that Trump was able to get back in the White House after everything he did, all the crimes he committed, 91 crimes he committed, he was still able to get back in the White House. That is a terrible indictment on Democrats being far too weak, nowhere near aggressive enough, didn't move quick enough, and the fascists are now running everything. So thank you, Brazil, for showing us that some places on Earth still have fucking standards. We love Lula on this channel. Lula is the man. All right, more. Okay, so here's some reporting according to Dropsite News. President Trump signed an executive order directing War Secretary Pete Hegseth to create a Standing National Guard Quick Reaction Force, a domestic military unit trained, resourced, and ready for rapid nationwide deployment to support law enforcement in quelling civil disturbances. Under the order, Hegseth must designate Guard members in every state, ensure they are trained and equipped, and make them available for mobilization at the president's direction. He is officially crowning his Gestapo, his own paramilitary. That's what this is. Now, he already has the ICE Gestapo, which he gave over $100 billion and made them bigger than the Israeli military and multiple militaries. But now he's officially making his Gestapo. And we all know he's already invaded D.C. and L.A. and all these different places. He wants to do Chicago, says he's going to do Memphis. So he's going to use this like this at the drop of a dime. He'll do it. And we all know he's probably going to deploy these people around election time and say, oh, there's disturbances happening and the left is rigging it and there's unfair stuff happening at the ballot box. So now I'm sending the military to make sure everything is fair. And of course, the person who's accusing the others of rigging it will rig it because he tried to rig it himself. He did January 6th. He did the fake elector slates. So we're in trouble. We are in serious, serious trouble. All right, more. Now, this was a huge deal the other day, and I know a lot of you guys probably saw this coming across your social media feed, but there was reporting that Russia had sent drones into Poland, into a NATO country, Poland. And it was a lot of, it wasn't like a small number either. It was like a dozen or more drones that they sent. So they were violating Polish airspace, and they had drones in there, and everybody was panicking. And, you know, Poland had to be ready for war, basically, at a moment's notice. So everybody was on high alert and had to act immediately. Well, guess what? They didn't actually attack, but why did they do this? Why did they send the drones in there? Well, Anonymous on Twitter says the following. NATO's reaction or underreaction to the Russian attack on Poland will determine the timeline for the Russian invasion of Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Finland. Make no mistake, the attack was a deliberate strategy to practice for the looming invasion of the Baltics. So with Russia doing that, now they get information. Now they get data. Now they know, hey, here's how long it would have taken for them to actually respond to an attack that we were going to do. And so it is really, really not looking good. And, you know, the fear of Vladimir Putin effectively wanting to get the old gang back together, right? Bring back the Soviet Union, but do it under the banner of Russia, and of course, no longer under the banner of communism. Basically set up his corporate capitalist fiefdom, his oligarch fiefdom, but make it the former Soviet bloc states as well. That's what it looks like he wants in his heart of hearts. And he may be getting bold enough to try to make his next move beyond just Ukraine. So, by the way, speaking of Ukraine, at the same time, this was on September 7th, Russia launched its largest mass aerial attack on Ukraine of the war with 805 drones and 13 missiles at targets across the country. Cabinet of Ministers in Kyiv was struck for the first time. So he attacked the government in the capital. He attacked the government in the capital for the first time. That's a massive, massive, very serious escalation. Now, Trump was asked about this the day after, a couple days after, about, hey, Russia just flew, attack drones into Poland. Seems like a big deal, doesn't it? So a reporter says, what's your reaction to Russia's drone incursion into Poland? Trump responds, quote, it could have been a mistake. We are so fucked. We are so fucked. Trump loves to be Mr. Tough Guy, Mr. Badass. I'm going to fucking hold all you accountable, you sons of bitches. Until he comes face to face with a fascist, tyrannical dictator, modern-day Nazi like Netanyahu. He gives him a fucking handjob every day and coddles his balls. And Vladimir Putin, who he gives a pass to every day, no matter what the fuck he does, it's somehow okay. Or maybe it was a mistake. It was a mistake? It was a fucking mistake. Are you kidding me? Weak. He somehow has nothing but love and adoration for all of the worst people in the world and all the best people in the world. That's who he threatens. That's who he yells at. That's who he fucking deploys the military to take down. God, I fucking hate this guy so much. You're throwing your weight around and threatening to invade Canada and Greenland and Mexico and Panama and all these places. And then Vladimir Putin, you can commit whatever war crime you want, invade wherever you want. Netanyahu, hey, here's more money. Here's more weapons. Would you like to bomb more Palestinian kids for me, sir? I can't fucking deal with this, bro. I should also point out, I know you've all seen this, but Trump was at a 9/11 memorial the other day, and when they were reading the names of people who had died in 9/11, Trump was sitting there fucking falling asleep is point number one, okay? Point number two is, I have never seen his face look like this before, but homie, it looked like he just stroked out on that stage, bro. He was sitting, like, I'm going to try to recreate the face, but I'm going to fail miserably, but bear with me. So he was sitting there falling asleep, and he looked like this. That was the Trump face. That was the Trump face. And I couldn't even do it. The right side of his face was literally like down here. Like his mouth went all the way down to here. And his eyes were droopy. And when a lot of people saw this, what was the reaction? Holy shit, we were fucking right. Now, I don't think he ever had the ischemic stroke, the bigger stroke. But based on his face here, a lot of people were saying, oh, he definitely had mini strokes. Your mouth doesn't get like that unless you're having facial muscle weakness problems. And that happens when you have a stroke. So it's very possible he's been having mini strokes, and that's why he's got the fucking, the markings on his hand. They're putting emergency IVs in him to try to get him right. That's why he disappeared for 5 days or 6 days. I think it was 6 days that he disappeared for. So it's not looking good, bro. Oldest president ever, and now homie is fucking looking like it, man. Holy shit. I've said this before, but I need you to actually imagine this. And there's pictures online that show you what it would look like that are very disturbing. But imagine what Trump would look like if he didn't have his hair like it was done, right? And so if he never got his hair transplants and shit, so like imagine him horseshoe bald, right? The sides being totally white, but horseshoe bald, nothing on top. And then also he didn't have the like bronzer spray tan thing going on. Imagine what he would look like. It would be a horrifying sight. First of all, incredibly fat, like disgustingly bulbous. Fucking neck-gina all up in your face. Just like beefy neck-gina, beefy nussy in your face. And then like super fucking pale. He would look like how old he is, if not older. He'd look like he's fucking 90 and he's got 2.5 minutes left to live. That's what he would look like. All right. So apparently Dan Bongino is now being sued. The FBI is now being sued. And there's a lot of tea that's being spilled in these lawsuits. So Will Sommer says the following: new lawsuit from fired FBI agents paints quite a picture of Deputy Director Dan Bongino, obsessed with his social media following, very sensitive about critical tweets from his MAGA audience. One agent finds Bongino, quote, extremely anxious, looking like he hadn't slept for days. So exactly what you thought Bongino was like is exactly what he is like. All he fucking cares about is getting the love and adoration and support of MAGA. That's all he cares about. And so when all the Epstein stuff was going on, remember he was throwing a tantrum behind the scenes and he was terrified and he was scared and he was thinking about leaving the FBI, all because Trump was basically admitting like, yeah, I'm in the fucking Epstein files. I'm going to hide the Epstein files because I don't want people knowing the horrible, horrible crimes I committed. Well, these people worked under Bongino and they're going, you have no idea what it's like working for this fucking demon, bro. No idea. So really interesting stuff there. This is horrible, but Yahoo reported the following, that the U.S. military systematically sexually exploited South Korean women for decades. From the 1950s to the 1980s, the South Korean regime forced women to work as prostitutes in state-sanctioned brothels on behalf of the U.S. troops occupying the country. That's crazy, bro. So now there's this lawsuit, big lawsuit over this. So effectively, these were like state-sanctioned sex slaves, women who were forced to have sex with these U.S. troops. Man, that is incredibly disturbing. What a, ugh. The fact that went on, and that how many little factoids are out there like this about how atrocious the imperial regime military is. And I think it's common. You read stuff about what happened in Vietnam, the Agent Orange and the napalm and killing innocent villagers. And it's like, sometimes you go, hey, are we the baddies? Yeah, I think so. And this is why war is a fucking racket. War is fucking stupid. And a lot of it has to do with getting natural resources for us, right? It's about money. It's about power. It's about control. It's about natural resources. It's about domination. And, being pro-war is unacceptable. All right, more. NBC News is reporting that a 13-year-old boy in Washington state was arrested after authorities allege he had, quote, school shooter ideations and a stockpile of weapons for an attack. Now, I'm looking right now at the picture of how many weapons he had, and okay, it literally looks like over a dozen weapons, and they're serious weapons. These are like fully automatic weapons. I don't even know how he got his hands on these sorts of weapons. But some of them look fully automatic, over a dozen weapons. And this is one of those people. And look, this is why I always say red flag laws are the way to go. Because with red flag laws, if somebody comes out and says, I'm now going to shoot up the school, you get to legally go in there and go, well, no, you're not, because we're taking your guns and we're holding you for this because this is unacceptable, right? And so red flag laws are the way to go. And thank God this happened because, as you all know, we had the assassination of Charlie Kirk the other day, the murder of Charlie Kirk. And that same day, we also had a 16-year-old kid in Colorado, I believe, do another mass shooting there. Turns out that kid was an anti-Semite and was, radicalized online, and very disturbing stuff there. And I think at least 2 people died there and more were hospitalized. So the same day, you have a political murder, you have a mass shooting in Colorado, and then I believe this came out the same day as that thankfully they were able to bust up this kid's attempt to do a school shooting that was going to happen any day now. I mean, bro, this country's falling apart at the seams. Without a doubt, we have serious issues where anxiety, depression, mental illness is absolutely through the roof. We have a crisis in meaning. But at the same time, we also have literally over 300 million guns in this country. So many guns, we don't even know what to do with all the fucking guns. Well, guess what? That's a horrible mix. And when you have a mix like that, and you get, online radicalization and these fucking creepy groups that like groom kids into being violent, this is going to be the result. The result is going to be, unfortunately, on a regular basis, people getting gunned down, people getting murdered, lives being ruined. And the fact that, look, once Sandy Hook came and went and there was no real gun reform, unfortunately, I think this country went full doomer, full nihilist on the issue of guns, where they went, I guess this is just how it is. And I'm sorry, we need to fucking snap ourselves out of that. We need to realize that how we're acting is psychotic, and every other country in the world looks at us like, what is wrong with you people? Like, really? You're just going to let these, like, precious kids be blown away on a daily basis and fucking not change anything because, what are you going to do? Like, fuck that. No, we can make the changes. We can make the changes. We can do red flag laws. We can do universal background checks. We can ban high-capacity magazines. We can ban assault weapons. We can create a testing system and a licensing system to make it so that only, the right people can get guns and have guns. This is all fucking possible. But no, we throw our hands up. But at least in this rare instance, they were able to stop a mass shooting from happening. But will they be able to stop the next one and the one after that? Who fucking knows? It's probably impossible to stop all of them because, like I said, we have all these mental illness problems and violence problems and crisis of meaning problems and so many fucking guns that it's just too easy for people to do a mass shooting if they want to do a mass shooting. All right. Now, let me go back to Venezuela here for a second. So, Ken Klippenstein reached out to 19 members of Congress and asked about war with Venezuela. Guess what? Only one of them responded. Only one of them responded. This is the problem, guys. This is the problem. I mean, I don't understand what it is. Why are you not talking about this? You have Trump, an absolutely psychotic warmonger, who half the time pretended like he was pro-peace on the campaign trail. But as soon as he gets out there, I'm going to take Greenland, I'm going to take Canada, I'm going to, like, all this fucking crazy shit. Already bombed Iran, already bombed Yemen, already bombed Somalia, fucking brags about it on a daily basis. Attacked that fishing boat, a fishing boat in Venezuela. And the Democrat, you have nothing to say about this? Fucking nothing? You're running and hiding? Are you, like, tepidly cheering on this bloated war criminal pedophile pig president to fucking do another war? Is that what you want? Do you actually want this to happen? And I don't know, maybe they do. Maybe they do. And that would be a function of, if they do want it, that would be a function of, okay, well, how much money are you taking from Raytheon and Halliburton and Boeing and General Dynamics and all of these defense contractors? Are you that fucking bought off that you support this? In the same way that, it's virtually every Republican is swimming in Israel lobby money, but like 80% of the Democrats are too. And so do you low-key sort of support like what Netanyahu is doing in Israel? And to what extent is that a function of you just get paid to have this position? So you're just a fucking whore. You're just a corporate whore, a lobbyist whore. So I don't know what it is, but they better fucking wake up and snap out of it. I mean, it's totally unacceptable. People don't want this. They want a crazy motherfucker out there like me in Congress going, really? You're going to attack Venezuela? Maduro's not going to attack us. I thought we're only supposed to use our military for self-defense. This has nothing to do with self-defense. You're the bully. You're the bad guy. What are you doing this for? Why are there videos of Trump saying we want to steal the oil? And that's why we're doing this. Are we going to go through the same fucking thing we went through with George W. Bush and the war in Iraq, a war for oil? And here we all are over 20 years later and we go, well, that was fucking stupid. We shouldn't have done that. Let's not do that again. Let's fucking nip it in the bud. But none of these people are fighting. None of them are fighting about it. I'm going to fucking lose it. I'm going to lose it, dog. By the way, we have verification. This is from the New York Times. The Venezuelan boat that the U.S. military destroyed in the Caribbean last week appeared to have turned around before the attack started. So we have the Intercept reporting it was a fishing boat. It wasn't a military boat. There's no evidence they were narco-terrorists, which, by the way, is not a thing. That's not a thing. They just made it up. They just made it up to try to link the war on terror to the war on drugs to say we get to kill whoever we want, even if they're just smuggling in some marijuana. We don't give a fuck. We'll kill you. That's what they're saying. But fishing boat, and now we learned, I guess they heard the drones, they knew they were in trouble, so they turned around to go back to Venezuela. So you couldn't even make the argument, oh, they were about to dump a whole bunch of fentanyl in this country or something. Can't even make that argument. So this was murder that was posted for the world to see. A snuff film of illegal terrorist murder posted for the world to see. 11 people on that boat killed. We don't know anything about, they could be innocent people, they could be fishermen, they could have families, that people could be devastated right now. We don't know dick about dick. But the president wanted, Mr. Tough Guy, we're going to fucking do more war crimes. We've lost all reason in this country, all reason or all morality. It is so disturbing. All of it is so disturbing. Now, I should also point out that Venezuela is warning the world beforehand. They're saying right now, beforehand, that the U.S. is preparing a false flag operation. Now, remember, Trump has sent 7 warships to Venezuela, 4,500 troops to Venezuela. And Venezuela is saying, look, we're not going to touch it. We're not going to do it. We're not going to, fight you guys. We want nothing to do with this. But it looks like what you guys are planning is a false flag attack. And so they say that just like with the Maine in 1898 and the Gulf of Tonkin in 1964, and with the Iraq weapons of mass destruction stuff, the Minister of Defense is saying this is what's going to happen. They're going to do a false flag attack, and everybody needs to know that. And this is why we're telling you beforehand. Because when it happens and they blame us, I want you to know we didn't do it. We didn't do it. So, terrifying. Because, I don't think they're wrong. I think it's very obvious that the U.S. wants this war and is preparing for this war, and that's why you sent the ships down there, and that's why you sent the people down there. It's fucking Occam's razor. You want this, and so you're going to try to cook up some justification to try to drag the poll numbers from like 20% wanting war with Venezuela to like 39% or something. So, I guess we could do it now. Okay, all right. All right, now let's talk a little bit about this, and this is something I wanted to get to last week but couldn't. So a piece came out about how, I believe it's in The Atlantic, about how finally Kamala Harris is sort of throwing Joe Biden under the bus and telling the truth about the last race. So here's one quote from it. Quote, "It's Joe and Jill's decision. We all said that like a mantra, as if we'd all been hypnotized. Was it grace or was it recklessness? In retrospect, I think it was recklessness. The stakes were simply too high. This wasn't a choice that should have been left to an individual's ego, an individual's ambition." So that's Kamala Harris saying, we all would repeat, hey, if Joe Biden wants to keep running, it's Joe and Jill's decision, and that's the end of it. But now she's looking back and saying, in retrospect, we shouldn't have been saying that. Everybody should have been saying, get the fuck out of the way, so we had more time to make this thing work. That's basically what she's saying there. So here's some more from the piece. Worse, I often learned that the president's staff was adding fuel to negative narratives that sprang up around me. One narrative that took a stubborn hold was that I had a chaotic office and unusually high staff turnover during my first year. Joe was already polling badly on the age issue, with roughly 75% of voters saying he was too old to be an effective president. Then he started taking on water for his perceived blank check to Benjamin Netanyahu in Gaza. When polls indicated that I was getting more popular, the people around him didn't like the contrast that was emerging. So in other words, people started viewing me more favorably, and they got jealous about that. I also called on Israel for greater access to aid. It was a speech that had been vetted and approved by the White House and the National Security Council. It went viral, and the West Wing was displeased. I was castigated for apparently delivering it too well. Wow. Their thinking was zero-sum. If she's shining, he's dimmed. None of them grasped that if I did well, he did well. That given the concerns about his age, my visible success as his vice president was vital. It would serve as a testament to his judgment in choosing me and reassurance that if something happened, the country was in good hands. My success was important for him. His team didn't get it. So she's spilling all the tea, bro. She's spilling all the tea. And you know what? She's not wrong. In fact, part of the problem is, as soon as the Biden staffers came onto her campaign, they're arguably the ones who made it way worse and tanked it. Because when Kamala first came out, people don't remember this. There was a brief period. She was up like 6 points in the polls. She picked Tim Walz, who everybody loved at the time. They had these rallies where they were cracking jokes and saying J.D. Vance was fucking couches, and they were being aggressive. She was running on, I'm going to ban price gouging in the grocery stores, all these great policies. And they were riding high, and then as soon as the Biden people came on and started steering the course of her campaign, that's when everything sort of went to shit and they cooled off. And clearly behind the scenes, there was jealousy, there was anger. They didn't like the fact that people were starting to look at her more favorably as Biden was being viewed more and more as too old and he can't do it another 4 years. And so now she's coming out and saying all this stuff. So I think on the substance of it, I think she's right about all of it. I think she was incredibly loyal to a fault almost, because any sense of reason or common sense, it would tell you to come out there. And the first thing you do is to say, I am not Joe Biden. Remember when she went on The View and said, I don't know what I'd do differently. Oh my God. That was a softball down the center of the plate. All you have to do is say, I'd definitely cut off all the weapons to Israel. They're committing a lot of war crimes. Boom. That answer alone could have been made a world of difference. But she was like stubbornly loyal. And, of course, that backfired colossally. But now she's spilling all the tea. It really makes me think, all right, well, what's she planning on doing next? I'm very curious what she's planning on doing next. Because, some people are saying, she's like torching her future in politics. I don't know why they think this is like torching her future in politics, but that's what people are saying. But I do wonder what she has planned next, because I would not expect her to come out and admit all this unless there's, she's cooking something up. So I don't know. All right, more. So this is disturbing. This is disturbing. But we now have an ex-IDF chief who has come out and admitted that the casualties in Gaza, it's over 200,000. Retired General Herzi Halevi says not once had legal advice constrained Israel's military decisions in the Strip. So we've heard from doctors who were in Gaza that said it was 300,000 minimum. We've seen reports of at least 99,000. There's numbers all over the map, but what I keep telling you guys is it's definitely not the official Gaza, the Gaza health number, which is, I think, like 62,000. That is a drastic undercount. Well, now you have an ex-IDF chief confirming it's at least 200,000, which makes sense because, remember, Netanyahu and Trump, when they were asked about ethnically cleansing Gaza, which, of course, they're planning on doing, they say, we got to move like 1.7 or 1.8 million people. Okay, well, hold on. There were 2.3 million people in Gaza before all this started. So you do the math on that. But we're talking hundreds of thousands killed, and they know it, which is why they said that. So that is very, it literally a live stream genocide that we all just watched. Now, at the same time, you all know there's this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation that is delivering aid there. Now, you used to have something like over 400 areas to give out food and aid when the UN was running the aid distribution sites. Now, under the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, there's only like 4 spots, and they're in weird places, and people get shot trying to go get food and water. And I don't even think they give out water, by the way. Well, guess what? There's this big piece that just dropped. I believe it's in the Telegraph. Get this. Gaza Humanitarian Foundation contractors employ multiple members of an anti-Muslim biker gang called the Infidels. So people whose whole identity is built around being an American biker gang that's anti-Muslim, they're now in Gaza with guns doing security for the GHF. So there's a picture that they took. They actually took a picture holding a flag that says, "Make Gaza Great Again." And there's another one that says, FOB, Forward Operating Base, Mar-a-Lago. So these are people who are there to police Muslims, and they hate Muslims. That's a whole core part of their identity. And my guess is they want to deliver for Trump what Trump wants, right? We want to turn this into the fucking Riviera. We want hotels and casinos, and we want to lay on the beach and sip mojitos and fucking, finish ethnically cleansing this place after we kill as many as possible. That AI video that Trump posted was actually his plan. This is what people need to understand, how depraved these people are. Trump posted an AI video of him and Netanyahu sitting by a pool, sipping alcoholic drinks, and golden statues to Trump in Gaza. That's what he actually wants to do. And now you have fucking the infidels biker gang in Gaza doing security with guns around Palestinian Muslims who they fucking despise. This is, I mean, I'm sorry, man. We need new war crimes charges immediately. We need Nuremberg trials. Like, the number of people who need to get justice over this, I mean, there will not be justice unless literally thousands of people get locked up. Thousands. All right. There was this piece in The Guardian, too. And basically, it's a piece about this family of 4 in Gaza where they all got killed. All of them got killed. And they got killed in a relatively short time frame. The title is The Gaza Family Torn Apart by IDF Snipers from Chicago and Munich. And so come to find out, they end up, like putting in detail there about the killers, the shooters, the IDF people who are from Chicago and Munich. And one of these people is an Israeli sniper from Chicago. After killing a 19-year-old and then shooting his brother for trying to retrieve the body, this guy said, quote, "What was so important about that corpse? Those were 2 of the 4 members of the same family killed by Israeli snipers on a single day in Gaza in November 2023. So this guy has said the most disturbing, most callous things I've ever seen in my life. He says he shot Salem, that was one of the names, simply because he tried to retrieve the body of his beloved older brother, Muhammad. Quote, "It's hard for me to understand why he did that, and it also doesn't really interest me," says Rob, that's the guy, R-A-A-B, Rab, whatever, says in a video interview posted on X. I mean, what was so important about that corpse? So now this guy, he's an IDF murderer. He partook in the genocide, and now he's just, back in the U.S. He's back in the U.S. doing his thing. Back in the U.S. doing his thing like it's nothing, right, being interviewed. By the way, I see other people saying on Twitter that this guy, who openly talks about how he murdered innocent people in Gaza, massacred them, he's a sniper for the IDF, he gave interviews to the media where he said, "Oh, I don't feel safe on college campuses because of all the anti-Semitism." Unbelievable. So Felix, one of the Chapo guys, said on Twitter, this guy, Rab, of Naperville, Illinois, is a serial murderer. His family raised money to buy him the equipment he used to carry out these killings. Sooner or later, it will become apparent that we cannot have a functional society while thousands of families just like this remain free. I think that's exactly right. There's also this other terrifying video floating around of Israeli TV, and the guy who's being interviewed is a Homesh settler, so one of the illegal extremist settlers in the West Bank. And here's one of the things he says in the interview. This is just on Israeli TV like it's fucking nothing, right? Quote, "As the Torah says, there's no way for us to live here in the land of Israel if we don't expel them. There cannot be a single Gentile here who opposes the people of Israel." Literal open calling for ethnic cleansing in the West Bank, which, by the way, there's other reporting that over 1,000 Palestinians in the West Bank have been arrested. No reason given in particular, they just arrested them. And as you all know, everybody's in position for Israel to officially fully annex the entire West Bank. Well, now they just arrested over 1,000 Palestinians in the West Bank. So you have the outright genocide in Gaza, and you have the mission creep, full takeover of the West Bank happening. And remember, Miriam Adelson, the Israeli donor, gave Trump $100 million in the last election with the quid pro quo of, reportedly, you have to let Israel annex the West Bank. And that's what's happening right in front of our eyes. And you get stuff like this on TV. Now, understand something. Not only do they hate Palestinian Muslims, which they do. They want to kill them and ethnically cleanse them, and they're very open about that fact. They also hate Christians. And they're very open about that fact too. They think they are the chosen people, they are special, and everybody else is below them. And this is why you have these disturbing, illegal Israeli extremist, ultra-Orthodox settlers, and they believe it's like divine right to that land. They actually believe that. They think God gave them that land, and so they get to take it, no questions asked. It's truly incredible to me. It's truly incredible how brainwashed and fundamentalist they are. Like, there isn't even a fucking God. Never mind a God that's talking to you and telling you you're owed that patch of dirt, which is owned by somebody else. Oh my God. All right, so we also have this big story came out in ProPublica. A North Carolina man attempted suicide twice, and his wife tried to get him help at an inpatient clinic, but their insurance provider refused to cover the treatment and deemed it not medically necessary. So this is an issue that a lot of people around the country are experiencing, and I know you guys probably have stories about this too, horror stories about this, but it's like your insurance covers less and less and less, and it's always like when you need help the most, that's when they're more than willing to fucking reject your claim and say we just don't cover that. And so shout out to ProPublica for highlighting this absolute horror story. I recommend you go read the whole article. But the title is "Just Let Me Die: After Insurance Repeatedly Denied a Couple's Claims, One Psychiatrist Was Their Last Hope." So go read that whole article. I also wanted to talk about this new memo. There was a memo that the Bulwark got their hands on, and it's being circulated among Democratic leadership on the Hill. And it makes the case as to what Democrats should run on in the 2026 election. And what they've settled on is culture of corruption. We're going to run on culture of corruption. The Trump and Republicans and MAGA, they have a culture of corruption. Now, look, I don't hate it, but at the same time, I think we are so far past and beyond this idea of like, hey, let's pick one thing and that'll be the thing we talk about. Like, bro, you have to be kidding me. Like, you need to hit him over the head with fucking everything that you got. Like, you cannot leave a single stone unturned. Like, now we are quite literally fighting for the continued existence of this country. And even the prayer of being able to improve things in the future. And if all you got is, first of all, why would you say culture of corruption? Just say corruption. Just say he's a disgusting, corrupt pig. Like, Democrats need to grow to the modern era now and get to the point where they can use visceral language. Like, they say, oh, it's a culture of corruption. And, I say, and a lot of, left-wing influencers would say, Trump is a corrupt, fat, pedophile, war criminal pig. Like, which message will land more? Which message will people like more? Which one delivers a gut punch? Which one sounds like you mean it? Which one has some passion and some life and some oomph in it? We all know which one. So you can't, I need you guys to grow up. I need you guys to grow up. And I need you to care. I need you to, hammer him on everything. Yes, bring up the corruption, but be specific about say he made $3.4 billion with his fucking crypto scam coin, which he ran on his own supporters. He robbed his own supporters blind. Who does that? Who fucking does that? Talk about Jared Kushner getting $2 billion from Saudi Arabia, right? Talk about the $160 million he made from foreign governments in his first term. If you want to talk about corruption, we could talk about the Live Golf League, where he's taking all this money from Saudi Arabia and doing fucking favors for them, right? We could talk about corruption. We should talk about warmongering foreign policy, bombing Iran illegally, by the way, bombing Yemen, bombing Somalia, threatening to invade Mexico and bomb Mexico, threatening Greenland, threatening Panama, threatening Canada, bombing Venezuela, doing an illegal war. Like, all of this stuff, the inflation, the unemployment, the fucking trade war, ruining our standing around the world. Now we have no friends and everybody's going to work around us and not with us anymore. Everything should be on the table. I don't want to hear let's narrow it to this one thing. If I ever ran for office, which I won't, but if I ever did, one of the first things I would tell people is I don't have any staffers who tell me what to say and what to believe. I don't have any messaging people. Why would I need somebody to tell me what I believe? Why would I need somebody to tell me what I should say? I know what I should say. I'm me. I know what I believe. I'm me. So, what are we talking about here? Just fucking speak from the heart. Hammer over the fucking Epstein files. Hammer them over the Epstein files. I would rather have, if you're going to come up with one thing to hammer Trump with, that, if you need one catch-all thing, be like, he's in the Epstein files and he's a pedo, right? Like, I'd rather have that culture of corruption. Like, I don't know. It seems so outdated to me, right? Like, it's like Democrats are constantly at least 16 years behind the Republicans in terms of strategy, in terms of how they fight, what they say. And so, I don't know. I don't love it, but, it is what it is. I just wish they learned how to take the gloves off, learned how to fight, learned how to actually care about this stuff, learned how to hit them on everything. But I don't know. You get the sense, in order to actually care about this stuff and fight on this stuff, you have to truly believe things. And what I truly believe is I'm anti-war. I'm actually anti-war. Trump's funding a fucking genocide right now in front of our eyes. That's disgusting. He should be fucking locked up. He's a criminal. He should be in prison. That's simple, right? So I'm anti-war. That influences everything I say, everything I believe. I'm anti-corruption. That influences everything I say, everything I believe. I'm in favor of social democracy. I want everybody to have health care. I want everybody to have an education. I want everybody to have a good wage. I want everybody to have a roof over their head. Like, that's what I believe. And so everything's going to stem from that place. And I just don't know if the Democrats are there. If they were there, then I think it'd be super easy to destroy Trump and the Republicans. But they're just lucky at this moment that Trump and the Republicans are so unpopular that the Democrats are up like 8 points in the generic ballot or something like that. And that's with them just simply getting out of the way. That's with them going, all right, go ahead, destroy the country. We'll be over here in the corner minding our business, and then people will vote for us, which is true. But I'd rather have you guys win by 18 points as opposed to winning by 3 points, which is what it might be if this is your strategy, right? Okay. Let's talk about this. So the other day, Florida came out, and what they decided to do is end all vaccine mandates, even for kids in school. Now, you need to understand how fucking psychotic that is. You need to understand how that's just a horrific policy decision. Because if there's one place in this country which is like notorious for getting everybody sick, it is schools. They are little fucking petri dishes. That's what they are. Now, for those of you who have kids, you know exactly what I'm saying. For those of you that don't have kids, I'll tell you from my own experience. After I graduated college and started my show and I was doing my thing, I was basically like a total hermit and a loner for from 2012 all the way until like 2019. So like 7 years. I was basically a shut-in. I never fucking got sick. But the reason I never got sick, I was never fucking around anybody, right? And so now, of course, I'm married to Crystal. We have our kids. And every single school year, it is a guarantee that at least 3 things rip through the house. Where everybody gets, one kid gets one thing in school, it just rips through the house, everybody gets fucking sick, right? So that's what it's like with kids. Schools are the worst with this. Kids, they talk fucking 2 inches away from each other's face. They accidentally like spew saliva on each other. They're fucking coughing on each other. They're right on top of each other. Everybody's fucking farting. And it's just like, this is how kids are. They're kids, right? So to remove vaccine mandates for schools, that is that is mental. Well, so they did that. And what's going to happen as a result of that is exactly what the fuck you think is going to happen. Now, all these things, which have been, to this point, basically eliminate measles, mumps, rubella, all these things which, were of the past. Now, if you're saying they don't need any of these to go to school, well, that's how we basically made sure everybody got vaccinated. Is, if you go to a school, usually a public school, you have to get these vaccines. And even many private schools say you have to get these vaccines, right? Well, now they're saying the public schools are not going to have those rules anymore. So now you're going to have measles, mumps, rubella, all these other fucking illnesses that are basically gone. Now they're going to come fucking roaring back. Because of course they're going to come roaring back. Because, you need like 90 or 93% or more of the population to get herd immunity. As soon as you drop below that, then we're fucked. Right? And they're definitely going to drop below that. You know how Florida is. You know how right-wing they are now. You know how maggot up everybody is. So there's going to be a lot of bugs that originate in fucking Florida. It's going to spread through the rest of the country. Meanwhile, Data for Progress did a poll on this. Ready? What percentage of voters approve of ending the vaccine mandate for schools? Only 32% support it. Why? Because people aren't fucking stupid. They know if there's any place you should definitely get some vaccines before you chill, it's a fucking school. Of course it's a school. So as bad as it is now, it's only going to get worse. This shit is only going to get worse, bro. It is disturbing. This shit is fucking disturbing what they're doing. And by the way, Florida starts with this. You think other red states are not going to pick up where Florida left off? You think other states are not going to do the same shit? They are definitely going to do the same shit. No doubt about it. And so now all the red states are going to get rid of all these vaccine mandates. And we're entering an anti-science, anti-empiricism age. We're entering an anti-intellectual age. We're already in the anti-intellectual age, but the science was able to hold on for dear life in most respects, medical science. But now we have, they're cutting scientific research. They're cutting medical research. Brain drain is happening in this country. And all the immigrants who study all the important things, now they're leaving. They cut pediatric cancer research, as you all know. You have a purge at the Health and Human Services and the FDA and the CDC and all these places, because all these people who know what they're doing go, RFK's a fucking crank and he's ruining everything. And he's like, I can't work for this guy. I can't do my actual job. And they're rigging the science and lying about it, right? Trying to say Tylenol causes autism and all sorts of crazy shit. He's drinking fucking methylene blue and popping nicotine in his mouth on a daily. Like, what are we doing here? This is the guy who's going to the guy who is in charge of U.S. health thinks, oh, if you just get rid of the dye in Skittles, then they're good for you. If you just fucking fry the fries in beef tallow, then we're good. Yeah, that fucking health expert there. He looks like a raisin rotting in the sun, but he's the fucking health expert for this country? Are we kidding? Well, now we're in that era. We're in that age. They're destroying science. Whatever institutions remain that did good work are now being disassembled right in front of our eyes. You can thank Trump for that. You can thank Elon and Doge for that. And you can thank RFK Jr. for that. Jesus Christ. All right. Now, while I'm on the topic of RFK Jr., so he was doing some event the other week, and he said, yet again, one of the dumbest fucking things that I've ever heard. One of the things that drives me craziest and triggers me the most is when we have to fight battles that we already won. And when people bring up things that are long debunked, as if it's like, oh, I have this novel idea, and I think it's true. Like, or you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So RFK said on mass shootings, there are many things that happened in the 1990s that could explain these. One is the dependence on psychiatric drugs. There could be connections with video games. Homie, there's been like 400 fucking studies on do video games cause mass shootings. The answer is no, no, no. It's not a maybe. It's not up in the air. It's not a little bit. It's no. All these countries have video games. Only one of them has mass shootings like we have mass shootings. And guess what? The ones that have video games and don't have mass shootings, they have much fewer guns. Oh, would you look at that? Weird how that works. But no, it's this dumb idea that, oh, if you play a first-person shooter video game, obviously that's going to make you want to shoot your neighbor Bob in the face. No. I played first-person shooter video games. That's never given me a bloodlust to go kill some people. It's just a fucking video game. Everybody knows the difference between a video game and real life. It's not difficult to figure out. But no, video games might cause mass shootings. We know that is 100% debunked. And this other bullshit of, oh, SSRIs cause mass shootings. No! Guys, I've told you this a million times, but anytime there's a shooter who was prescribed SSRIs, it is much more likely that they had stopped taking their SSRIs before they went to do the shooting, right? SSRIs, anecdotally, all the people I've talked to who've been on SSRIs, they were like, oh, it was a fucking lifesaver. It made me feel better. Right? Like I was depressed. I didn't want to get out of bed. I had all these problems. And then I started taking it. I felt a little lighter. You know, I felt the fucking weight of burden rise from my shoulders. It really worked. It really helped my brain chemistry get back in balance. And then I was able to get off it in a year or two and then everything's good. Some people stay on it longer. God bless, whatever works. Right? But it's like they're just against science. He's just against science. The idea that these things cause shootings is fucking preposterous. God, it's just... He's got his little pet issues. He always goes back to his little fucking pet issues. Meanwhile, this guy's on human growth hormone. He's on testosterone. He's taking methylene blue. He takes a peptide that makes his skin a darker color, which is usually used by like bodybuilders. Like this is, what a joke. What a joke. This is like the last guy who should be in charge of science. All right. Another ProPublica piece I wanted to share with you. There's a cancer drug named Revlimid. It's one of the best-selling pharmaceutical products of all time, with total sales of over $100 billion. You ready for this? It costs nearly $1,000 for each pill. It only costs 25 cents to make. This right here is the problem with capitalism. This right here is why people are considering fucking grabbing some pitchforks and going into the street. This is unacceptable. So $1,000 for each pill. They made $100 billion off this cancer drug, Revlimid. It only costs 25 cents to make. For the love of God, can we please nationalize Big Pharma? Can we please have the government take over Big Pharma? We need the government to, because we do all the research and development. All of the research and development for the new drugs, it comes from your tax money and my tax money. They take that money, they do the research at these universities, they come up with these drugs, then Big Pharma swoops in and buys up the rights to that and sells it back to you and price gouges you. So you pay for the research, and then you also have to pay on the back end, and they price gouge you for that for when you need the pill anyway. Absolutely disgusting, absolutely absurd. And again, there are solutions here. The solution is don't allow medicine to be for profit. It's not that hard to find out. It's not that hard to figure out. And I actually go a step further than that. Don't only make it not for profit, just totally take it over, nationalize it. Say this is just going to be in the realm of government. And we do the research and development up front, and then we're going to, give it to the American people at a reasonable price on the back end. I mean, to have it, again, cost 25 cents to make. They sell it for $1,000 a pill. How many people have had their lives ruined because they couldn't afford it, or had to go bankrupt over it, or, whatever, had to pay some negotiated down rate if the health insurance company was involved or whatever. But, if it costs 25 cents to make, motherfucker, really? Like, you have to charge 1,000. Like, that's the thing. They're so unreasonable. On top of this just being like the system being bad and wrong in principle and how it's built, it's also like, you could have just charged like $20, right? Like, that's still a colossal profit margin. But no, we're going to charge fucking 1,000 per pill. Fuck these people, man. Fuck these people. I can't. Meanwhile, and then you got, of course, as you all know, the owners and the executives at the top of the corporation. They got a yacht. They got 3 mansions, right? They're on vacation 8 months of the year. Like, this is what it is, and this is why people are furious. We have massive income inequality, massive wealth inequality. We have the haves and the have-nots, and this is just a scam. Call it what it is. This system that charges that much for that pill is a fucking scam. This is not serious. This is not, like, something we should respect. This is a scam, is what it is, and everybody needs to wake up to that fact. All right. So the Financial Times is saying, and this is kind of related to what we just talked about, Americans are facing the biggest increase in health insurance costs in 15 years. Rising premiums add to pressure on households already feeling the pinch from the high price of goods. So inflation has gone up. The price of coffee has gone up. The price of beef has gone up massively. All the back-to-school things were up like 4 or 5%, so parents were feeling that. And then now, biggest increase in health insurance costs in 15 years. It's going up 18%. So now you have Trump, you have his big bullshit bill, you have the cutting of Medicaid, you have the cutting of Medicare, you have the cutting of SNAP, you have all that, you have the cutting of the Obamacare subsidies. This shit right here, I know there's a lot of other crazy shit going on. Trump's bombing all these people and the Epstein files and everything. But this shit right here will fucking do him in, son. This shit right here. When you have runaway unemployment, runaway inflation, that's the stuff that the normies go, oh, fuck this guy. Why is everything so expensive? I can't fucking afford dick. He's already at 38% approval rating. He's already at 38%. I'm telling you, he's going to bottom out, and that bottom out is anywhere between 25% and 33%, but he's rushing to get there, bro. He is rushing to get there, because this bread and butter shit is the shit nobody can overcome, right? Trump's a master bullshitter, man. He bends reality to his will all the time, but this is one of the things even he can't get away with this. I promise you that. So just wait for it. Ticking time bomb, man. The economy's a ticking time bomb. The house of cards is going to fucking come down. And we all know that. Everybody feels it. Everybody experiences it. We know that. So, I shudder at the thought of what everything is going to look like. I really do. All right. International postal volumes to the U.S. are down 81%. That's crazy. So because of all the tariffs, what this means is, because of all the tariffs, the postal traffic to the U.S. is down 81%. Holy shit. Because there was a suspension of tariff exemption for low-value parcels. So yeah, this is, as I said, destroying the U.S. economy. There is no fucking way around this, bro. It's like, I know I've said it before, but it's almost like he's trying to destroy the country. Like, you couldn't make worse decisions than this. If you tried, you actively try, you could not make worse decisions than this. That's why I say there's no difference between him being a Manchurian candidate or just being a fucking idiot. Because at the end of the day, the decisions have the same impact. And the impact is, welcome to the Chinese century, bitch. That's the impact. And then I also wanted to give you this. So this is in The Atlantic, and this says it all. The title of the piece is, "The Job Market is Hell." And the subtitle is, "The young people are using ChatGPT to write their applications. HR is using AI to read them. No one is getting hired." So basically, everything is total fucking bullshit. Everything is bullshit. You're faking your resume by using ChatGPT. They're faking reading it by using AI to read it, and then nobody's even calling anybody. I don't know how much longer we can continue down this path, bro. I don't know how much longer we can continue down this path. I really don't. I really don't. It just feels like everything's falling apart at the seams. Every single thing is falling apart at the seams. So, there you go. Finally, let me just wrap it up with this real quick. And there's a number of people I see making this point on social media. But I love the idea. And actually, shout out to my brother-in-law who sent this to me. He was the first one to say it, to be fair. He sent it to me like the day of the Charlie Kirk attack. But what he says is, now's the time for Democrats to introduce a gun control law and call it the Charlie Kirk Act. And then let the Republicans object to it. Right? And you don't even have to go crazy. You don't even have to go crazy. You could let's do universal background checks and red flag law. Let's do that. And because those are like those poll at like over 90%, bro. Certainly over 80%. Just do that. Propose that and see what happens. And then watch the Republicans vote against it and then squirm when you clobber them over the head saying, you don't even give a fuck about Charlie Kirk's life. You don't care. If you did, you would support this. Why is it controversial to take away somebody's guns if they're out in public saying, I am going to go do a mass shooting now? What's fucking controversial about taking that person's guns? Everybody wants you to take that person's gun, right? Just to check to make sure somebody's not a fucking multi-time felon with a background check bill. What's wrong with that? What is wrong with that? Make them vote against it. So anyway, that's a great point. As I said, my brother-in-law made it first, but I see a lot of other liberals and lefties making it on Twitter now. I think it's true. I think it's a great point. So anyway, there you go, guys. I know this was a bit of a long one, but I wanted to give you all the updates that we had. We had so many things that were piling up and building up, and I was going, I don't even know how I'm going to get to all this, bro. I don't even know, because we were trying to follow the Charlie Kirk thing. I was trying to give you all the updates for that. But there we go. We got through it. I gave you all the updates, and we're postponing Crystal, Kyle, and Friends. It was going to drop today. It's with Joyanne Reed. It is now going to drop tomorrow. But let me also say, this was recorded before the what happened with Charlie Kirk. We actually recorded this, I believe it was on Tuesday afternoon we recorded this. But anyway, that's going to be dropping tomorrow. Definitely sign up for Crystal, Kyle, and Friends to see that. All the shameless plugs you guys know, subscribe to the channel. That helps out big time and costs you nothing at all. Thank you to everybody who supports the show on Patreon. Thank you to everybody who tips on YouTube. All that stuff makes a world of difference. Remember, y'all, this is real independent media. I don't just talk the talk. I also walk the walk. I've never had a conversation with an advertiser, never done an ad read, never talked to a billionaire, never talked to a PAC, never talked to a government. We try to fund this show as purely as possible, and you guys have made that possible. So I really appreciate that. All right, guys, I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.